Well, hi everybody. Okay. Hey y'all. Hey guys, I think I had to stop it because, well, I think I did something that'll help. Gosh, yeah, I'm sorry. Good. You can hear me too? I was watching a live stream the other day, and the lady who's very experienced. Okay, good. Okay, good. I don't know if you have to leave, if you have to close that one stream and come back, or if you have to join again. I will see. Let's see. I'll wait till I see some people coming in. Yeah, so anyway, I think maybe now. It's so cool. I feel so good when that happens. Let's see. I will just refresh my... Okay, the chat stayed open. Okay, maybe. We'll see. You see me. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know. I did something called lower my bit rate. And perhaps that did it. I don't know. We'll see. So far I can't see new chat. So maybe I can. Okay, yes, I see you. Did not have to rejoin. Okay. Thank you. And I was watching this woman live stream the other day, and she is very experienced, and she had to stop her stream twice. So I don't feel too bad. That is the first time that's happened, but thank you for staying. And I do think, yeah, I know. So there's going to be a 32-minute part one of the stream tonight. Yeah, that's what happened to her too. There were like 3 different videos for her stream, but you know what? It's cool. I appreciate you doing that, coming back or staying. So let's just pick it up right where I left off. Yeah, I was feeling sort of embarrassed, right, reading about this quilt. So this quilt was made in 1712, and I have another one for you that was made in 1726, and so I'm going to pull that one up too. And so I just kind of thought most of the quilts that were around that early were whole cloth. I mean, really early, like 1700s quilts. I always kind of had understood, I thought I understood, that they were all like calamanco quilts, whole cloth quilts, just not very much patchwork, just quilted large pieces of cloth, chintz, But this just blows it out of the water. Look at that heart. Hey, Myra, I'm so glad. Thanks, y'all. I hope everybody who was here comes back. There were like 35 people in here. This heart is just like, that's perfect. That's a perfect heart. I just think it's wonderful. Okay. That's something, that'd be interesting. The history of the heart, the shape of the heart as an icon. The icon. Okay, here's another. Oh, I've got good stuff for you today. I've got really good stuff. And let me do this, hide that. Here's the other quilt that I wanted to show you. Yeah. Okay, this one. Well, that's kind of trippy having that one and the other one. Okay, let me make this one big. Full screen. Okay, yeah, this one was featured in this book as well, and in this exhibit. That one, right there. And I found it online. It's not a fantastic resolution for this quilt. The colors are a little off on your screen. I would say the yellow is more. Hey, Diobev. Hi. You came just at the right time because we just started. There was no half an hour where things got weird and we had to restart the stream. No. This is just you're just right on time. The colors in my book here, which I trust, are more golden. You see kind of a mustard yellow, but I would say it's a more golden yellow. But look at that. Look, initials. Those are the maker's initials, IN, and the date, 1726. 1726. Unbelievable. Crazy. I love it. So that's our desktop quilt. Well, both of them are our desktop quilt for today. And you know, I have to be honest, I like... Oh, and one thing too that you should know. When the stream was going wonky, in a new way, it was, you know, the video dropped and who knows. When that happened, thank you so much, Charles. Thank you. Hey, Susan. Thanks. When that happened, I went to go figure it out, and I Googled something, and it said that one thing to do if that is happening is to lower your bit rate. So I did, and by enough that I think that we're going to be okay. But what it means I'm seeing, I think, is that I see the chat more slowly, probably, than you do. And so if you're talking to me and saying stuff and you're like, hi, and I'm like, blah, 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 and I don't say hi back soon as I should and would like to, it's because of that. So I think things are coming in a little more slowly, which is going to help us, but that's what's going to happen, I think. Anyway, I don't love the 1700s era in quilt making as much as I like, you know, the 20th century, especially the sort of the middle part of the 20th century is what's really interesting me right now. And then the 80s and 90s, I guess the second half, you could say. And so I kind of thought I would have something else for you tonight on the desktop. But then when I saw these, the two that I've just shown you, I just was like, well, I mean, come on. What more do you want? Bow socks. Hey. Oh, okay. I'm seeing this. And if you just typed this, then maybe my chat is going just fine. Bow socks. Binging through your YouTube videos basically taught me how to make my first quilt. That is awesome. That is really cool. I am glad that you enjoyed my videos. Quilty was really special. Quilty was a special thing, and Fons and Porter too. But Quilty was kind of weird, you know, and I'm kind of weird too. So Quilty was my brain on quilts. Okay, so are you ready for this? And I'll say one more thing. If something goes haywire again, if it does, I hereby swear I'll try one more time. If something goes crazy and it's bad, I will stop the stream and I will start one more time. And then if it goes weird, the tech gods are not with us. And, you know, the third time was not the charm. So, but that is my promise. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was my sister. It was my sister in the show, and she produced the show, Rebecca. And it was my brother-in-law who directed it, Jack Newell, who's a very successful film director. Okay. So here's what's going on. So on Saturday afternoon, we talked about Gerald Roy, right? And his wonderful collection of quilts. He and Paul Pilgrim, their wonderful quilts in color. And, you know, it was great, and we were trucking along, and I had something else to talk about with you regarding Gerald Roy that we didn't get to because I kind of ran out of steam, you know. I was like, oh, I gotta go. Oh, I had a very big plate of tortellini today, so not that long ago. So when I made my chip bowl, I was like, I don't know if I can do it. But now I'm wondering, since I have not had a crisp, maybe that's why we had tech trouble. So there. Okay, bye, Susan. See you on the replay. Okay, no, bye, Bip. Okay, bye, Bip. We'll see you on the replay. And hopefully on Thursday. Yeah, I love all those little animals too, Holmes. So I had more to show you with Gerald Roy. And what I wanted to show you was that I don't know if he still makes quilts, but he has made quilts in his life. Specifically, denim quilts. Oh, I've got these pulled up already. Hang on. And so I was like, well, let's talk about denim quilts. Let's just look at some. What does that mean? What are those like? And so I thought we could look at, so these are Gerald, and I pulled up a few things to look at in terms of the denim, and then it led me to something else, which I also have kind of ready to investigate with you. Oh, okay, good. Thanks, Lee, by the way, for letting me know that the buffering has abated. Good. Okay, so this is one of Gerald Roy's quilts. And so is this one. And those are the only pictures I have of them. But one of the things I printed off for you is Gerald Roy. Okay. There's an article from 2014, okay? From Levi's.com. And they interview Gerald Roy. So this is the deck, right? The intro for the article. This is a close-up. Yeah, Gerald Roy, if you watch the replay, Susan, I thought you were here Saturday, but we talk about Gerald Roy and who he is and his quilt collection with his late partner, Paul Pilgrim. So watch the replay from the last show and you'll learn all about it. The quilts they collected, the collection that they have, the Pilgrim and Roy collection, is very famous and it's really great. And so Gerald Roy is this guy who makes denim quilts. So here's what they say. And I've got a ton of denim quilts pulled up to show you online and here, because I just went through, and grabbed some from the internet. Let me just do this. And then we're going to look at a few. I mean, I really, I try to get a few things together, but then also not, go too deep, because remember, it's not a lecture. It's a exploration. Okay, full screen. So I'm just going to read you. Okay, so this is from 2014 from Levi's. And this quilt that you're seeing is a quilt by Mara Ambrose from Folk Fibers that's on her website currently, I believe. Okay, at least it was. It's from her. It was made by her. Okay. Aha. Yes, Pilgrim Roy. Exactly, Susan. Yep. Okay, quilting is having a major moment. 2014. Isn't it always? And denim has an unquestionable place in quilting history. Quilts in Color, quilts from the Pilgrim Roy collection, is on display at the MFA Boston. We learned about that last time. And is not to be missed. The exhibit shows Gerald Roy. Okay. Gerald Roy and his late partner Paul Pilgrim initially began purchasing quilts as art consultants for designers and corporations in the 60s and became fascinated with both the beauty and history of the medium. Over 5 decades, they passionately amassed what is now a world-renowned quilt collection of approximately 1,500 quilts, the only one of its kind. Interesting. Okay, so this is one of Gerald Roy's own quilts, and he uses denim. This is a quilt that we're going to look at in just a minute more closely, but it's denim. Beyond being a masterful collector and historian, Roy is an accomplished quilter, preferring to use what he calls honest materials in his work. Honest materials. And the writer for Levi's.com says, yes, honest materials means denim. We were lucky to get the opportunity to talk with Roy about denim's role in this age-old form of artistry, as well as about his own work. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna look at how to make denim quilts. I mean, I think we should watch a little tutorial about it, because this show is about history, but it's also about quilts, so I've never sewn denim. I think I see you all talking a little bit about it. And that is good. Okay, so Levi's to Gerald Roy in 2014. Have you seen a lot of denim throughout your collecting? Gerald Roy. We mostly saw denim in utility quilts combined with wool or heavier worsted materials. Sorry, I'm going to read that again because that's interesting. We mostly saw denim in utility quilts combined with wool or heavier worsted materials rather than dress weight cotton. And that might not come as a surprise, but that makes perfect sense. Like, if I'm going to make a denim quilt, okay, good to know. I'm not going to try to use cotton with it. I'll use wool or worsted, right? Gerald Roy says it has to be used with fabrics that are heavy enough to be consistent with the thickness of the denim. And yeah, totally. You can, use stabilizer and things to sew crazy different substrates together, but it would be easier, I think, maybe, to sew with just same thickness, right? Levi's, what are utility quilts? I was going to answer this, but here it is. Quilts that were made for everyday use, especially in the rural communities. They weren't necessarily made with the finest craftsmanship and the finest needlework. They were made for warmth and to be used. I'll pause and say that many people would find that statement about they weren't necessarily made with the finest craftsmanship and the finest needlework I kind of take issue with that too. I mean, he's seen a lot of quilts, and so it's cool. Like, we can have a conversation about it. And I mean, it's a little bit, I mean, the word problematic is way overused, but we saw that quilt, was it last week? Yeah, that beautiful quilt, Star of Bethlehem quilt that's now at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And, since a lot of these everyday quilts or utility quilts come from rural areas, I mean, what's sort of implied here sometimes is it African American quilts or something like that, quilts by people who were economically challenged, hillbillies in West Virginia, right? There's quilts that are improvisational quilts and everyday quilts all over the country, right? So if this is a statement that could be interrogated a bit, right? That these quilts weren't made with the finest craftsmanship or the finest needlework. Is it true? So maybe. Is it worth sort of pushing back on? Totally. And Gerald Roy says that doesn't mean they aren't beautiful, but it's a different kind of beauty. They are rougher textured and lend themselves to bigger pieces rather than the tiny little intricate pieces that cottons do. I think he means denim quilts, because I've seen a lot of intricate piecing in everyday quilts. Okay. Oh, Diobev is making a denim quilt now? I've used cotton with it and it's fine now. I'm quilting it. I had to go to the charity shop to find non-stretch denim. That's interesting. That's funny. Interesting. Wow. Interesting. Okay. They're rougher textured. Okay. They require bigger stitches and are tied off with a cord made from heavier material. Interesting. Which communities made utility quilts? Asks Levi's. This quilt is, hang on, I believe this is the Rosie Lee Tompkins quilt. And we're going to talk about Rosie Lee Tompkins in a little bit. Is that the one? Hang on. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, that's a quilt by Rosie Lee Tompkins, the famous quilt maker and artist. Okay, rural areas and farm communities throughout the country, places where denim was most common. Those were the communities who made utility quilts, he's saying. There were more people working in farms and fields than there are in offices today. Denim and Levi's specifically satisfied a need for work clothes. It wasn't fashionable and it wasn't a status symbol. It was a symbol of hard work, toil, and honesty. Hey, a nun maker. Hey, hi. Okay, great. Memorial quilts. Excellent. Yeah, good. T-shirts and other clothes. Yeah, you could share a lot about how that project went, and if you used stabilizer or if you used a particular, process. We'd love to know. Yeah, I like them too. I've got more to show you. I can't wait. Okay, I got to keep going. So, yeah, I found a video that Gerald Roy made. He gave a big lecture at the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, and someone mentioned that exists, and it does, the full lecture, which is over an hour, I think. But I found a little clip that they made, a little promotional clip that they made with him. And I mentioned it briefly last week that maybe we were going to watch something that I found kind of sort of made me uncomfortable. But then we didn't get to it. And I mentioned last week that I thought, this little clip made me uncomfortable, and so I don't think I should show it. I don't think it should go on tonight on the stream. But then I thought, well, it totally should, right? In your research or when you're learning about something, if you're thinking critically about it, then it's, that's good. You're sort of figuring out how you feel about things. But I don't want to throw shade at people. I have respect for Gerald Roy because he's been in the game so long. He's I don't want to I don't want to have a show where I'm like, I don't like that person. That's not what I want to do at all. However, this interview and some stuff he says in that video, I don't like it. I don't like it. So we're going to watch that. It's 3 minutes long. Okay. It's just the way there's a tone about, denim is a symbol of hard work, toil, and honesty. And it goes to this sort of whole kind of conversation, really complicated and often patronizing kind of tone that's used by white people talking about Black people's quilts. It's just kind of a fact that there's these, there's this patina of oh, weren't they just so simple and honest and simple, and they just worked so hard and they didn't sew very well, but their quilts are amazing. It's just weird, and it's inaccurate a lot of times. And so it's if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Okay. Levi says, tell us about your quilting process and when you started to quilt. Okay. I'm going to skip that. Okay. I want to talk about jeans. I want to talk about sewing with jeans. So you cut up actual jeans and making your quilts to complement other antique textiles? Yes, jeans or other denim pieces of used clothing. Paul and I, hey, here's a nun maker, made a memorial quilt. Roy says, Paul and I shared 33 years together. When he died, I saved pieces of his clothing that were meaningful to me. His Pendleton shirts, those would look great with jeans. His worn blue jeans. Working with these materials helped me through the grieving process. It's beautiful. I've never made a memorial quilt, but I will. This is a part of quilt history. This is still Gerald Roy. There are many records of others sharing this experience. Quilt making goes beyond what other art forms provide because it is so personal. I agree with all of this. Quilts are usually made for loved ones. They are celebratory, and they have provided an outlet for quilt makers throughout their lives. Birth, betrothal, marriage, friendship, death, and mourning. There's hardly an occasion that hasn't been celebrated with a quilt. Okay, so this was the jump off for the denim stuff. Okay. Okay, so I want to give you some more. So someone said you really liked this one. I forget who said it, but if you do, you have great taste, because this is a quilt by Rosie Lee Tompkins, and so I'm gonna read about her and show you. I have 20, maybe more than 20 quilts of hers to show you, and I want to know more about her. So that's what's gonna go down. But first, I pulled up a bunch of websites. I searched denim quilt because sometimes it makes sense for me to do a little bit of preliminary Googling before I come on. By the way, look, see, The Radical Quilting of Rosie Lee Tompkins. Oh, it's so great. It's a great article that I have only read half of, so I'm going to read it to you and we're going to look at some of her quilts. It's really cool. So I did a little preliminary Googling because sometimes you need to dig a little bit, to find good stuff. And I didn't want to just scroll and scroll and scroll to find denim quilts that, I wanted to take a look at with you. So I did a little bit, but we're gonna see what happens here. So this, I found it interesting. So this is a quilt for sale by the textile artist Daniela Witt in their studio in Leipzig. Oh yeah, my brother's jeans. Hey, Samantha Saturday. Well, let's pull that. I've got that in my files. Melissa, Averinos. See, we're off track already in a great way. Okay, my brother's jeans. It's magnificent. I don't know why I didn't think of that one. Yeah, this one, Best in Show. Did you say that? Did you say that, Samantha? Best in Show. Yeah, 2016. So this is a memory quilt or a memorial quilt. When it loads up, I'll open it bigger. Look, I'm giving it all away. Okay, well, yeah. So here's this one. Yeah. So this, I mean, I thought this was pretty cool. I wanted to look at this one more closely because, yeah, Holmes, exactly. I love how used denim shows the marks of the wearer. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, of all the fabrics to use, I mean, if you see a quilt that has like a regular quilt or like a quilt made with cotton or silk or something that's worn in a particular place, or maybe there's a stain on it, is it blood? Is it wine? We don't know. That shows the wear on that particular textile. And that's why, I mean, textiles are so amazing, right? One of the reasons is because they have this history as an object. In material culture, they have a story and a provenance, and it tells so much about the use of it and the people who used it and what life was like and all that. But a jean, I mean, a denim jean, like you've probably seen, and we will look at some of those quilts. Some of the G's Ben quilts that are the most famous are the ones that are made from blue jeans, these work clothes quilts. But this is cool. I hadn't seen anything like that. Totally quilting politic. Approved. Yeah, I hadn't seen anything like this, and I like it. I think it's cool, and it's very simple. And we can look up this gal, who made this. But it's a neat way to do a denim quilt, and I really like this. I like this, Oh, that almost looks like a bum here, a very elongated leg. But it's interesting. I mean, you don't have to have straight pieces. I mean, she didn't have fully straight pieces to work with, Maybe there was a nasty part there, right? A rip that she couldn't manage, and so she just cut it out. I think it's very nice. Yeah. I'll put the link in the chat for this. So, very cool. And it's it's on sale. 459 pounds. Shipping from Germany. Caroline, this is your thing. Mark Rothko. Totally. Oh, Charles, I didn't see you. Had to go. I'll see you soon. Thanks for being here. Okay, I'll put this in chat. Okay. Yeah. Looks like meditation. Yeah, Agnes Martin. Totally. I'm sure you know of Carson Converse. I think her work is Agnes Martin, 1000%. Okay, let's see. This is like... So her brother, Marissa Averinos' brother, committed suicide. And she used his jeans for the quilt. And yeah, I mean, it's just very special. And she wrote a really great artist statement, and also talked about it. I think in a blog post she talked about it. Okay, we'll probably have slower internet because I slowed down the thing. But okay, let's take a look at another one. This one was interesting. I thought this one was interesting because, well, it's a lot of money. It is so much. It is 1,400 pounds. So that's like, I don't know, $2,800, something like that. But hey, if you can sell a quilt, I don't know. I hope I don't sound judgmental. Yeah. I don't mean to be judgmental. I have like so much to figure out about the cost of a quilt. You know, people have asked me how much should a quilt cost? What do you charge for a quilt? I've never sold a quilt. I've like raised money for charity with a quilt, and everyone told me I capped off the money way too low. My top price for when I auctioned off these quilts for Puerto Rico was $500, and my friend Heather was like, "What are you doing? Like, that's too little, you know." So I don't know. And so when I say like, "Whoa, that's a lot of money," you know, for this quilt, 1,400 pounds, it's not that this person shouldn't charge that. I just still don't know how much a thing should be. I don't know. But this is an interesting quilt, I thought, because it's got wool. I mean, maybe it'll tell us, but I don't think it's all denim. There's some wool in here too, it seems. I mean, that looks like, well, maybe not. This is, of course, is satin. It looks like satin or spandex or something, and those might have been pants as well. It's quite possible. It makes sense that the designer would keep it all pants, and if the person had used other materials, the description might say so. But I thought that was pretty interesting. Denim quilt, where have we got this one? It's here. Okay, I want to go back. Okay. Okay, so it's by DeWitt. DeWitt. Sell high or give it away. Amen, Lee. I like that. Okay, shipping for exhibition piece. This piece is not pre-owned, but has been used for display purposes and might show minor signs of wear. So DeWitt. I want to know who these people are. Can come back to that. Okay, so here's one. This is one I found that I thought was kind of interesting. Artisanal textiles. These are all obviously quilts for sale, right? Quilts for sale. We can look at others that are in museums and things, but these are obviously commercial endeavors. And what's kind of funky, maybe I am hungry. When I was searching denim quilt, most of the hits were commercial sites. I mean, denim quilts are either really popular right now or just sort of, you know, maybe a lot of people want them. I mean, I don't know. I had never noticed that there were so many denim quilts, like trendy, cool denim quilts out there. So, I mean, this is, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's, you know, it's simple, but it's got a nice sort of whimsy to it. Yeah, Susan, you like? I love the emotes. I love that people are using them. It's awesome. So, yeah, this seems like, it looks hand quilted, maybe not, but it's washed. It's obviously like been washed after it was quilted because you can tell by the little puckers and things. We have a label. Interesting. Oh, interesting. Look at that. Patchwork quilt. Made in China. Bring the feel of the countryside into your home with this collection. Which countryside? I want to know which countryside. Some countrysides you don't want anything to do with, you know. And by that I mean like the pig lot countrysides that were like around my, you know, childhood home in Iowa. But yeah, okay. Interesting. It's a pretty cool label. You see, it reminds me of the stuff we looked at with the Smithsonian, right? The Smithsonian was kind of like, they were being a little bit sneaky, right? Because they were giving you, at the time, when we talked about this the other day, you have to watch, it was a few streams ago, we talked about this this thing that the Smithsonian did, this scandal, this quilt scandal. They sold quilts in the gift shop that were reproductions of famous quilts in their collection. And they gave you like a certificate that said like, oh, this has been handcrafted, you know, from like these classic quilts. And they really implied that these quilts were made in America, you know, by like American quilters, but they had been made in China, and it was this big scandal. It's fascinating. And so this reminds me of that a little bit, right? And it's not that there's anything wrong. Oh yeah, Sandra Johnson. Sandra Johnson is amazing. We'll look at her too. We featured her in Quilt Folk. She's so cool. I gotta do Sandra. We did Melissa, but Sandra Johnson. this kind of, it feels the same way. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with something being, made in China as long as the workers are being paid properly, which is hard to find out, right? But it is a little bit, they're really going for the Americana thing, and that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I like washing a quilt. I like washing a quilt too. Okay, I see Quilting Politics saying oops. Now I got the fear. I got the fear in me. I hope it's not an oops on my end. Okay, here's one more picture of this quilt. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Is that denim? Wait a minute. Hang on, people. Hang on. That's not denim, is it? Hey, Faith! Faith, you just gifted a sub. That's so great. That's so amazing. Samantha Saturday, you just got gifted a sub from Faith 1948. Faith, thank you so much. I haven't been plugging the subscription thing. I really need to do that. I really need to do that. There's so much to do. But that's wonderful. Samantha, congratulations. You have a subscription, and that's really cool. That means you don't have to watch any ads. And it also means that I care about you very much. I would anyway. And it also means that, what else? Well, you get this little first, okay. Good, Quilting Politics. You get that little first thing, which means you're a first tier subscriber. And later, I will add things to the subscriptions, and there'll be lots of goodies. Okay. I think Faith, you gifted a sub to, you can do that. You can give someone else a subscription, like for however long at whatever level. And then Faith, you might, I think you just, I don't know. If I could do it here on the screen, I would, but I am afraid to do that because someone else help out Faith, because that would be really cool. If you subscribed. And Faith, welcome. I think this is your first time here. Yeah, that's not denim. Am I wrong? That's chambray or like linen. It's linen. Don't you think? Yeah, it's not denim. It's denim colored. I mean, maybe it's just like a lost in translation kind of deal. Yeah, it's like hand dyed. It's not denim. It's not denim. It's okay. It's cute, but it ain't denim. Does it say that? I mean, I looked up denim quilt. Artisanal textiles, interesting, are Bashu's specialty, and this navy quilt showcases its signature patchworking technique. It's handmade from pure cotton. Okay. It's not saying it's denim, but when I searched denim quilt, it definitely came up early. Oh, wow. It's handmade from pure cotton, soft enough for getting cozy on the sofa, but hardy enough to use as a rug, too. Au contraire. I disagree. I can't possibly... Really? I'm not walking on that thing. A rug. I don't know. Maybe if you just like sit around and eat bonbons all day, you can just like loll on your quilt on the floor, but I'm not so sure. Has a geometric star design that's inspired by American styles from the early 1900s. Yeah, I mean, they did use that style in the early 1900s, but we also saw it on that quilt from England in 1712, made in 1712, didn't we? Wow, that was a nerdy moment. Like, yes, but remember that English quilt from 1712? Okay, interesting. So now let's see. I'm going to move back and forth a little bit because I know the internet is, it needs help. It needs care. We have to treat it gently. Treat it gently. So this is Melissa Averinos's quilt, My Brother's Jeans, a little bit bigger. So yeah. And he did. I think Caroline, you seem to. I think you commented. You mentioned that he did take his life, right? Did I say that? I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I agree, Myra. No way that's a rug. Hey, SW Firefly. And Natalie, how do you continue a subscription after your trial is over? I think in Twitch. I think that you just go to your, click on your account or your profile, and it should be able to let you like upgrade or something. The subscription part of all this is like, unfortunately, probably unwise, right? As a businesswoman. I should not keep putting it off, but it's like not my priority because I want to get the tech stuff right and I want to like get all this other stuff right and I need to make a preview and all this stuff. So I will be better at subscription spiel. I mean, a spiel usually seems like a bad thing because it's like, okay, here comes the spiel. But the spiel does give you information about something that you might want to buy. So I will know more soon. But Twitch should take you through like upgrading and things like that. And if somebody knows, let Natalie know. So anyway, it's a marvelous quilt. And I mean, of course, for the Modern Quilt Guild, it was just like, yeah, it was easy that was a best in show. You know what we should do sometime? We should look at, oh, I know what we should do. We should look at the winners. We should look at the winners of like Paducah, like the best. We should look at the best in show from Paducah, you know, from like the past like 20 years. How long has it been going on? Well, longer than 20 years. But we could do like part 1 and part 2 where we look at the best of. Oh, Samantha. Oh, Samantha gifted a sub to Faith. That's really great. Sorry. That makes me really, because it means that you want to come back, you know? I mean, giving a sub to someone else means that you are a kind person, a nice person, generous person. But also, when you subscribe, it means that you like what I'm doing. And that is a great encouragement to me. It really is. Brandon's back. Yes. Sue, were you here before? I think so. Things got wonky in there for a minute and it was all just a crack up. So Sue, are denim quilts heavy? And I think that the answer is yes, it depends. I mean, if you're using wool and denim and like, I mean, of course there's different thicknesses of denim, right? I think it depends, but I would think yes. I mean, denim's just heavier than cotton, right? Period. Anyway, bow socks. Yes. Oh yeah, bow socks. Let me tell you, you are right on time. I'm going to get back to this best in show quilt idea I have. Bow socks, but I saw your comment and you are right on time because we talked all about this show last time. And I mean, we did it last stream, but you're absolutely right. And you're right on time to mention that show because it opens like in a few days, right? I really want to go. A lot of people want to go. Yeah, I want to go with you. I want to go with everybody, not just you, bow socks, but it would be great to go with people from church. Yeah, if you watch the last stream on YouTube or here on Twitch, we talk all about the Museum of Fine Arts show and we go through the preview and stuff. You'll really like it. Anyway, Paducah, best in show. QuiltCon, best in show. International Quilt Festival, best in show. Like, let's look at some winning quilts, right? And having judged a couple things, and when I was making theater in Chicago, I cast people in a performance ensemble several times, and you know, it's really like it's not totally subjective because when you see just a dynamite piece, it's like, wow, that's really kind of better than everything else. It's so amazing. But when you get down to the second place, third place, you know, and some of the first place stuff, it's like, I don't know. I mean, and sometimes too, well, okay, let me continue. Because when we talk about first place winners and second place winners and stuff like that, we can get more into how this, you know, how do you choose a winner for something? Some of you may have been quilt judges, quilt show judges, and maybe some of you have won big prizes. It'd be really fun to talk about that. I have to write that down. Bests in show. Is that how I would say it? Bests in show. I want to do that. Topher J. Ooh, oh God, I love that. Thoughts on an in-person service at QuiltCon. I think it's a fine idea. In fact, someone mentioned that before. And I think that's a great idea. And it's too late to pitch an idea for the actual show. Well, I don't think that's what you're suggesting, and that would be weird anyway, but we could do a meetup. We should do a meetup. Okay. Meetup. QuiltCon. Meetup at QuiltCon. I love that. Okay. Oh, and listen to this. This is how the show goes. We bounce around. I do my best. I usually come back to where I left off. Usually, you might laugh when I say that, but I think I do. I have little bookmarks in my brain. What's going on here? What's happening here? Okay. So on Thursday next week, I have a gig for a guild in Canada, I think. And then next weekend is the Bronte workshop. And of course, at the gig, which is the first gig I've had since I started the Twitch show, since I built the church. And then at the Bronte workshop, on both days, I'll be mentioning the show. And I mean, I'm hoping some people will check it out and we'll just keep growing this community, you know. But if we have a meetup at QuiltCon, I mean, over the next couple months, I'll have to gauge if people are going to the show and if they want to come to a meetup. And I mean, we may have to rent a church. What if we rented a church? Oh my gosh, that would be so fun. There's gotta be, where is it? No, not Austin, Phoenix. Oh yeah, I mean, there's churches in Phoenix. There's like mega churches in Phoenix. That would be so fun. How much does it cost to rent a church? I mean, I don't know. That would be really, really funny. Okay. Well, that's nice. Okay. Move on, Mary. Move on. Oh, here we, oh, look at this. This Bashu place that does the cotton denim-ish thing has other quilts. Patchwork quilts. Oh, that's a wall pocket organizer. That's cute. I mean, yeah, I like it. I think Sandra Johnson makes items like that. Interesting. The American flag kind of deal there. Cool. Chambray. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Okay. That's one. This one we're going to come back to because she has, well, no, let's stay. So this is a site called Wisecraft Handmade. I'll put the link in the chat. And this person is a modern style quilter, Blair Stocker, Stocker. Oh, she didn't make this one. She found it. Wow. I thought when I pulled up this thing, I went live and I'll stay at the same place. I love that idea. I mean, rooms are expensive. Let's just all stay in the same room. No, it's a bad idea. So it looks like Blair found this quilt, and here she says she found via this link. So we'll let that load and see. Oh, first dibs. Interesting. Okay. So, well, let's take a look at this one a little bit more closely. So pockets and tied. Gerald Roy mentioned something about that. Pretty cool. And I would guess someone asked about the weight, right? How heavy they are. This looks heavy to me. Because, I mean, with the pocket, you know, you've got 2 layers of denim, essentially. That's pretty cool. This is a good find. And she said she found it on First Dibs. Oh, and it says how much. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I mean, it says that, I mean, she didn't buy it. I was thinking she bought it. Y'all, it's still for sale. Yeah, I mean, this one looks pretty legit. And to be honest with you, $1,000, I think that's fair. I don't buy many quilts. Oh, hey, Caroline. I hope you feel better. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are lovely peeps. Thanks for coming. You're always a delight to have in the chat, and I'm really glad you're here. Yeah, and feel better. So yeah, this one looks pretty good. I don't buy a lot of quilts, but First Dibs can really charge quite a bit. So this is the back. That's the back. You know, Bo Socks, you are you are right that, well, opening websites can be trouble. You're right. However, the nature of this show means that, you know, I kind of have to. So, you know, or I could, you know what? Oh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Do it, load it on like my monitor and then bring it up so it's not on the monitor. I get it. Sorry. Not a long day, but lots of stuff up in my brain. It's a very good idea. It's very smart. I will try to remember to do it. That's the next challenge. Anyway, so this one, thank you. It's true. So this, so Blair says this is one of her very first upcycled quilts. So she did make this. It's called Facets, made with denim jeans. It was originally designed for and published in the now folded Stitch magazine. Remember Stitch? We should look at Stitch someday. Stitch. This is what I mean about the rabbit hole, you know? Because, like, you want to go and look at Stitch and you want to go look at this other stuff. Designed and published, 2010. It now lives in New Mexico, and I get to visit it on occasion. Maybe because I worked in the apparel industry for years in the 90s, designing jeanswear, cool. I have a love for denim. I was lucky enough to be working in the southeastern U.S. When denim mills such as Cone, Burlington, and Avondale, which were local, had denim looms weaving around the clock in order to produce enough cloth for the industry. I sat in dye houses to watch and approve the denim cloth. Oh, wow, so she's really an expert. This is cool. Oh, look at this one. Denim cloth came through the wash cycles. Oh, she says, we may have taken a pair out back and shot them with BB guns to abrade them once. That's amazing. That's really cool. She says, I really came to understanding and appreciate the subtle differences in denim weaves, the way the cloth changed based on the wash, level of abrasion, and manipulation. Besides finely woven men's shirtweight fabric, same, denim remains one of her favorite fabrics, both to wear and to work with in my quilts. This is way cool. This is really great. I mean, you know? Look at that. Yes, Holmes. I mean, wow. I don't know her work. I mean, she's new to me, you know, which doesn't mean much because I'm really out of the loop sometimes on the new stuff. Okay, Myra knows her. Originally from the Pacific Northwest. Blair, she sells So Fine thread floss. Interesting. She has a book out and patterns. You've done, you've maybe taken a class, Sashiko Essentials. I think that's what the text says. Well, I really think she's great. And I think I need to use this image in my thumbnail when I do the little thumbnail for this video. So here's something. So this is what I think. I want to do interviews on the show. Maybe I mentioned this the other day, my idea about it, but it's official. Oh, gloss. Oh, okay. So Fine thread gloss. Oh, to help you thread your needle? Because I could use help with that. Is that what it's for? I'm very curious. Brush denim. So my idea for interviews, because on podcasts, people do interviews, right? With quilters. Many podcasts do many interviews. And it's always, I mean, a lot of times it's the same. And it's okay because we love the quilters that we love, and hearing people's stories is great. And a lot of people, you know, you don't know their story, and so you get to hear it. But because that's been covered, and it's covered so well, I'd like to do something different. So how about I have Blair on, you know? And because we have visuals, we you know, a podcast, you can't look at the stuff, but here you can. Great. So why don't I bring Blair on, you know, in a little screen, just like you see me now, have Blair up there in the other corner or whatnot. And I bring up pictures of her stuff, and she can talk to us about this quilt. So it's kind of like a trunk show every time, but better than that, because it's not just the same thing that she's been showing forever, talking about the same quilt. I mean, I want to ask her questions about this and ask her questions. Just like Holmes says, I bet that center where all 8 points join is really thick. It's impressive. Yeah. Like, hey, Blair, like, just talk to us about that, right? Talk to us about how this went together. And then we can just click through. I can be like, okay, now what's up with this thing? Tell us about this. And so it can be a visually supported interview. I mean, wouldn't that be cool? I think it would be really cool. I've never seen anything like that. Anyway, I want to watch it, so I got to make it. Hey, Judgy. Oh, I'm so glad you did too. Yes. The live, actually, someone mentioned this the other day, that this Quilt Church, as we call it, is a video magazine, a live video magazine. And we think that's pretty cool. Myra, let's see. She would love it. Interviews would be awesome. That's how I found out about you, through Just Get It Done Quilts. I love Karen. Karen is a good soul. She's a very good soul. I'm glad you listened to that. And I'm glad you found me, because you're great. And Dead Chuffed. Oh yeah. Okay. That was Dead Chuffed. Okay. Yeah. And Myra. Oh, not Myra too. Oh yeah. That's great. She's wonderful. Karen Brown I'll have her on. I'll have her on this. Denim is the worst, Susan says, for the planet, so it's great to not trash them and use them. Yeah, Judgy, you are most welcome here. I'm really glad you came. Karen Brown, the first quilt class she ever took was mine at QuiltCon 2017, I believe. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. So Blair, I mean, we just got to have her on, and she can talk to us and we can look at things, and I just think that's really cool. Okay. Yeah, she's got a book, Indigo. Great. She's got a book. Let me go over here and whoops. Okay, I didn't do the thing yet. Okay. Yeah, Karen Brown is just, yeah, she's amazing. Okay. So that's Blair's book. Wise Craft Quilts. Turning beloved fabrics into meaningful patchwork. Amazing. I am fully in support of this person. All right. So we'll have her on. Yeah. Wow. So cool. I got to do that there. All right. Okay. This is that quilt. We'll look at a few more denim quilts. Oh, wow. Time flies. This is by Maura Ambrose. I'm a huge fan of Maura Ambrose. I think she's really, really cool. We saw that one earlier. So it's a basket pattern made with vintage denim overalls. She says, I've been thinking about this design for years. It brings me joy to bring my idea to life. I used 3 pairs of vintage overalls, painstakingly deconstructing every seam and using every possible inch of fabric that I could salvage. A messy, laborious process proved worth the effort. Made with vintage hickory stripe railroad denim overalls. Wow. Deconstructed by hand, machine pieced, and hand quilted with Japanese sashiko thread. Wow, look at that. Oh, those striped ones, so great. Yeah, Bosox, Quiltoni is really cool. I like her. She's got a cool niche, she's a great quilter, and then she also makes these really original quilts, right, for an audience that loves her, and I'm sure she makes all kinds of different quilts, but the ones she does with like little game figures and stuff is brilliant. It's brilliant. So yeah, so that's the striped Maura Ambrose quilt. Cool. I think I have to do that to get out of there. Yeah, we got to talk about Maura Ambrose. I mean, I'll have her on the show. She's great. I'd like to talk to her longer. Okay. Oh, here's a fun one. This is just fun. This is a denim patchwork backpack. I'm always excited about the fashion stuff. I mean, I just am. It's just, something I like to look at. So this, so this is 1,800 pounds, this backpack. 1,800 pounds. So that hurts a little bit. And I think I love it. I do. I think I love it. And I'm not going to buy it because, are you kidding? I mean, how much is that? How much is it? Oh, yeah. Well, look at his shirt. There's a patchwork denim-y shirt. I mean, I don't know. I really, I think the more I look at it, the more I like it. Is that ridiculous? What do you think? I mean, Dolce & Gabbana is just completely outrageous most of the time. Price-wise and also design-wise, it can be a little ridiculous. But I don't know. There's something about it. I really like this little detail. This little right there. I don't know. Ridiculous. Now that you know how much it is, if you ever saw me with that, you'd be horrified. For good reason. $18.50. What is that? What is $18.50 GBP to USD? $2,500. $2,500 for a backpack. Anyone? Please subscribe to my channel. If a bunch of people subscribed to my channel and I was like, because you subscribed, I got a $2,500 backpack. Might not be so good for my channel. I think people would be a little disappointed. And you know what? You're right, Holmes. It would be pretty heavy, wouldn't it? Well, I don't want it after all. Fine. This one, yeah, okay, we talked about that one. I mean, the price of it is not too bad. Okay, so we saw this one earlier. I got two more little denim quilts here. So the San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles, amazing. If you've not been there, you should definitely go there. Phoenix to San Jose. I'm just saying, when you go to QuiltCon, if you're a Southwest person or you have, Southwest flight from Phoenix to San Jose, you could probably get it pretty cheap. Whoops, sorry. Nope. What? No, what are you doing? Sorry. Go back. Come back. Oh, okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to look up the price of the flight just now. I don't have to do that. Mary, you don't have to do that. But I'm saying if you go to QuiltCon in February, Phoenix to San Jose, probably pretty cheap on a Southwest flight. So why not go before QuiltCon or after QuiltCon? Keep the party going. So here we have this really interesting denim quilt. If you just joined, we're talking about denim quilts, what they are, how they look, how to make them, who makes them, things like that. So Ryan Carrington, don't know who Ryan Carrington is. I would like to know. This is made out of hospital scrubs and lab coats. Oh, wait a minute. This isn't denim at all. It came up in my my search, but no. Okay, well, that is fabulous. Wow, it's made of lab coats and scrubs. 2020. This is obviously, this is a pandemic year, right? 2020, obviously a pandemic year. Let's see. I can't imagine he's not talking about, as they call them here in the UK, key workers, right? Essential workers. So Ryan Carrington's work utilizes symbols of Americana to bridge issues of labor, class, work ethic, and economics with his personal and family history. His exhibition, Contradictions, investigates the rich conceptual history that pre-worn garments have to share. Okay, no wonder it came up in my search for denim quilts. Through using uniforms of blue and white collar workers to recreate American flags, he prompts a conversation for how we value each other in our ever-changing society. Wow. Yeah. Hey, Kathy. Oh, you're right on time. Flag 20. I know. Well, we got to look. Okay. We have to look at who this is. Ryan Carrington. We just have to. So I'm going to do this because you know what? Bow socks. You are not wrong about how I should probably pull up websites off my monitor and then bring them up for y'all. I think it's a very good tip. I'm glad you caught me before something terrible happened. Ryan Carrington, Contradictions. I'm pulling it up. RyanCarringtonArt.com. Here we go. Artistic intent. Let's go there first. He says, and by the way, if you're new here, I usually read some of the text. Sometimes I summarize the text that I read on screen, because even though I know you can read things, a lot of people do other things while they're watching the show. They're making quilts or they're doing whatever, and I can't just assume that you can see this on your screen. So Ryan Carrington, artistic intent, his artistic statement says, I grew up in a family that values labor, hard work, and creating with one's hands. At the heart of all my pieces lies a quiet homage to the modern-day craftsman and tradesman. My work bridges issues of labor, class, work ethic, and economics with my personal and family history. Within my studio practice, I delve deep into processes that parallel the monotony and tedium that laborers endure. Interesting. Through my art, I shed light on a corner of our society with a rich history of craftsmanship, process, and precision. By nurturing a fresh fascination of tools and materials, I provoke consideration for how we value each other in our ever-changing community. Wow, very cool. Okay, let's selected works. Let's go here. Let's go home. Yeah. He says, my current exhibition, Contradictions, is up at the San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles. Museum is open. The exhibition is up through September 12th. Okay, so it's gone. It's gone. So you can't go to this one, but there's always something wonderful at the San Jose Museum. Flag series. Okay, I want to go to flag series. I mean, there may be quite a bit here that's quilt related, but we'll look at these. Oh, wow. Isn't this cool? I mean, where else are you going to find this stuff? I mean, you know, this, right? Through Denim Quilts, we find this, right? We learn about a new artist because of looking at quilts. Quilts lead you to everything. Sorry, I wanted to say this is the Star Spangled Banner is made of painter's pants, suits, and collared shirts. Here I'm putting the link to his quilts in the chat. Oh yeah, Susan mentioning the Jasper Johns work. It's called Bed, like maybe Bed 36 or something like that. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, Rauschenberg, of course, very interesting. Flat. Oh, I have to remember to put Bed in my QuiltCon lecture on quilts and art. Can't forget that. It's important. Okay, flag number 17 is made of carpenter's pants, suits, collared shirts, and neckties. I think the neckties are the stars. Very cool. Yep, quilts are life. They are. They just are. I mean, look at what this is. You know, Melissa Averinos uses quilts to make her quilt about her brother's death. You know, she used denim in this. And so you're talking about life and death, right? Here, this artist is using patchwork to tell a story about labor, you know, very specifically about labor using materials, you know, reclaimed, recycled materials. I mean, it's amazing. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. What else do you know that, like, has that kind of, what like artistic form or like object has so much power, has so much flexibility, you know, elasticity and reach. Yeah, Jasper's flags, totally. Oh yeah, okay. Hang on, I gotta do something. And this is safe, I know. Jasper John's Bed. Here's the thing, is what I thought you were talking about is his work, Bed. He used a quilt. No, it's Robert Rauschenberg. Never mind. It's Robert Rauschenberg. I thought you were talking about Robert Rauschenberg and his Bed, but Jasper Johns, totally. But you see this? You see this quilt down here? So this is 1955, Robert Rauschenberg. Hey, Jill! Yeah, I mean, I'm like on a tear today. That's an old log cabin quilt that he used in that work. Oh, I'm so sorry, SW. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I hope that you will find something that makes sense for you. I know that you will. You will. So anyway, yeah. Let's see. Okay. So art is what we can go to. Quilts and art, right? It's a refuge for sure. So this artist's work is really, really interesting. Oh, look at that. That's like a vest, collared shirt, necktie. It's wonderful. Oh man, I love this stuff. I gotta write him down too. Ryan Carrington. And you know what's cool is, like, when I was working on Quilt Folk, we would find people to interview, you know, for the magazine, and a lot of times we would contact someone, say Ryan Carrington, and ask him about his work and say, do you have any quilts from your family? And so often these people do, because it's influencing, you know, their work. So it would be cool to have Ryan on the show, right? And talk to him about quilts that inspired him, maybe talk to him about Jasper Johns. Oh, I need to like Instagram message him or something and tell him that he was featured on the show. I have to tell everybody, Blair and all that. All those people. Oh, this just goes on and on. It's wonderful. Okay, so that's that. I've got one more for you. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, look at this. Okay, so these are all quilts by Cherish. You know, Cherish is that furniture place. Okay, the last denim quilt I have to show you is this one, which I thought was very unusual. You know? Yeah. That's snowballs. Denim quilt snowballs. Who ever heard of such a thing? Really very interesting. And it's got, that looks like cotton, you know, that red and blue is cotton. So they had to work hard to get that to work. It's 52.5 by 59. And it's for sale on Worth Point. It's kind of cute. I mean, this picture, I like this picture a little bit more than the other. I mean, I like this. It might have been maybe more successful like this, right? It's kind of cool. The border is maybe not my jam. Yeah, I think it would be better without the border. It'd be quite modern looking, right? Without a border. I've often thought that like many quilts that I see that are considered like traditional or contemporary, if you take the border off, they become a bit more modern. It's cute. I mean, how much is it? And when was it made? We don't know. It's $159. It was sold. Interesting. Okay. That's that. That is that. So here's what we're going to do. I hope you're still with me. I'm going to take a quick break and come back and talk about Rosie Lee Tompkins, because I really want to. And the reason I really want to is because the quilt that we saw, this quilt, is, you know, it's just great, right? It's like maybe the greatest one that we've seen. I would say so, just in terms of design and placement and all of that. A coded message. Ooh, bow maybe so. That the bow tie or the snowball one. Interesting. What message? It's interesting. Anyway, this is Rosie Lee Tompkins, and I'm going to show you. We're going to take a quick break, but I look at all these quilts I have of hers to show you, and there's more in here. Look at that. So it's going to be a fabulous like slideshow kind of deal, and I'm going to read you that article as I slideshow through these quilts. So a visual feast, and a lot of information about a very important quilter artist named Rosie Lee Tompkins. She's a big deal. And that is her. Let me see. Let me do this and do this. Yeah. And so I will be back. I'm going to turn off my mic this time so that there's no surprises, but I'm also going to remember to turn it on when I come back. So We'll be back. Topher, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you came, Topher, and I hope that you'll come back, subscribe, hang out. You're most welcome here. So, okay guys, I'll see you real soon. Shoot. Okay, look at this. Oh, don't say it. Look, turn on mic. But it wasn't right there where it should have been. It was face down on my notebook. Yeah. Okay. You know, a year from now, when things are different, you're going to say, "Oh, Mary, remember when it was just it was the core group, and you could never remember to turn on that microphone. Oh, and now you have a full set. You have your own studio in London, and you're making a video. You're making a video magazine with a full staff and a producer." Anyway, oh gosh. Hey, Judgy, I'm so glad you're here. So we can all identify. Thank you. I mean, I guess, I think this is probably the best way to make sure I do it. I need to stick it on the monitor that I'm, what you're looking at right now. There's, okay. What I said was, it could be worse. I might still be talking like I was that one night. Okay. I wanted to say that 2 things. Bow Socks, thank you so much for that tip about pulling up the web screen on my monitor before I move it up to yours, that you all can see. I mean, it's a simple concept, but it's something that I did not really think about. So thanks. It's really great. And then also, I wanted to say that, yeah, you all are so great. Lee, I completely agree. Dee Marie. Yeah, they are also great. Remember I was going to play that Gerald Roy did you hear that? That was the Post-it note that says turn on mic. Just fell off my computer. That's fine. That's how it happens. I was going to play you that video from Gerald Roy a couple years ago. And I did remember that while I was on my break. And I'm going to talk to you about Rosie Lee Tompkins. But I said I was going to play it, and I actually think it's really appropriate. It's really appropriate to play this. It is 2 minutes and 34 seconds. I'm hoping that I'll pull it up here, see if it's very short. So I think the internet will be okay with it if I kind of give it a second to load up. Yeah. And like I said before, like some of the things, I don't know. I just, here's the thing. I don't like to say negative things about people, especially people in the industry that I'm in. Like, it's just not cool. However, it's okay to disagree with a person, right? It's okay to disagree with a person and to say, I take issue with this certain thing, or that something you said bothered me, I think, and now this is my these are my issues that I'm going to share with you, but I'm a middle child and I actually think birth order, I think there's something to it, that where you are in your family of origin, your placement there does kind of shape you. And I think it's true that middle children are sometimes peacemakers, kind of okay, let me go for harmony, let's try to make things harmonious. And of course the exception proves the rule, or maybe I'm just totally wrong about that. But I, I'm this sensitive, middle child. And so, and I cannot, it's very difficult when people are that Mary Fons, I just can't stand her. You know how I was talking about the comments, how it's hard for me to read the comments, or it's it sucks to read the comments. Because I remember a comment from long ago when I first started on Fons and Porter, and someone, and this is relevant because I don't, because I know how it feels, right? This person said, as I gesticulate wildly, this woman said on Facebook, "I can't stand that Mary Fons. She moves her hands too much." And then this woman said, "Oh, me too. I just can't stand Marianne's nitwit daughter." Nitwit. That was, hey, Sujan. It's so good for you to be here. It's really, 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 appreciated. Thanks for adding so much to the conversation. We'll see you maybe Thursday, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday. This is what I do now. It's what we do. So yeah, I mean, okay, Dee Marie, you're middle. So, I mean, I still remember it. I mean, that was in 2010. It's like 11 years ago, and I still remember what words she used. So when but it's true. Like when you disagree with, I know. When you disagree with someone, Dee Marie, you have a point. Like that pushing back on something is how you learn. It's absolutely true. It's a really good point. Because the times that I have been challenged on something or fully wrong about something, those are moments of growth, right? So yeah, it's a really good word. It's a good word. I know. It's so terrible. Listen, go on TV, be in the public eye, and just sit back and wait. And I told Mom and Liz, you don't know how lucky you are that you did not you did not start your show when the internet was a thing. It was so, thanks Brendan. Yeah, I mean, it just, they were so green at it, speaking of denim, this is really funny. This is like a synchronicity sort of, well, it's ironic we're talking about denim tonight because one of the things Mom and Liz had the most shame about is that one season or for one series, they were so tired of finding wardrobe and changing clothes for every episode that they wore matching denim shirts that said love of quilting on it. Some of you may have seen that. I don't know. But, oh yeah. Okay, Jill. Sorry, Jill. So Jill, Alex. No. Oh, this is what I did. Sorry. Twitch, you said that they were a bad word. Those people that said bad things, you said they were a bad word. And Twitch flagged your comment. So it's highlighted. So it's you have to, allow postage. Oh, I can just allow it. Well, I'm going to allow it. I'm allowing it because I agree. But when there's a word that could be questionable, they flag it and I have to moderate it. Anyway, yeah, that's all. Denim, the internet. You're lucky if you do something new in the public eye and you don't live in a time of the internet. But enough of my complaining, whining, whatever. Let's watch this thing because it's very interesting. Okay, here we go. I'm going to bring it up. And maybe you don't agree with me about just kind of, I don't know. You make your own conclusions. Nitwitty. Jill, let's do it, okay? Let's go to that show in Boston. Yeah, everybody? Okay. Here we go. So this is from Quilts in Color. Here from the curator and the collector. This is the Museum of Fine Arts Boston that produced this film, or this short promo. Curator Pam Parmall introduces us to the varied and vivid quilts of Quilts in Color, and that was the exhibit in 2014. Okay. Make this full screen because why not? Here we go.
Color is essential to quilt making, and this exhibition really does explore that in many ways. It starts off really looking at different aspects of color theory, like color vibration, color mixtures, color gradation. The quilts we're going to see
That's
in the
one.
show really cover a broad time range from the early 19th century all the way to the 1940s. What makes them kind of unique and interesting is the way in which the quilt makers used color. Traditionally, most quilt makers used a high contrast, usually white with a dark color, to create their patterns.
We talked all about this, right? Last time, went through the Pilgrim and Roy quilts, and we saw that, like, this high contrast, white, stuff. That's not what they collected. I know you're going to hear that, but I just want to show you that, like, last time, we learned a lot of stuff. So what this curator is talking about, we already know. No.
Which could easily be seen. A lot of the quilts in this exhibition do just the opposite. They'll use similar colors together or will have no white whatsoever. In fact, the majority of the quilts in the show do not have white in them. We spent a lot of time with Gerald Roy looking at his collection, kind of learning from him during this process. It was a wonderful experience.
That first sentence that I use in my collector's preface, I make my quilts as fast as I can so my children won't freeze, and as beautiful as I can so my heart won't break. I think that is the epitome of what quilt making provided for women throughout the history of the 19th century. Their worlds were very much labor intensive, and to be able to escape and to produce something by way of producing it for utility, for the family, for warmth, but also having that other very, very special part was extremely important. The one thing that I find so extraordinarily rewarding, not only about finding these things, saving them, but is to actually have them exhibited on museum walls. I mean, can you imagine what these women, if they were alive today, would think about their work appearing on the walls of the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston? I mean, that would be mind-blowing to those ladies. And what a compliment.
Okay. So, what's the problem, Mary? What's the problem? So, here's the problem. I'm troubled by that. Some of what he said, a lot of what he said, and he said only a few things. I'm sure he would say many other things that I would not, find a problem with. But, so I've heard, I'm qualifying this all over the place. I've heard this kind of thing before, from men, okay? And since most of the people that I know, the men that I know who are collectors, okay, all of the collectors of quilts that I know who are men are white men. And just, I don't care if I've given you plenty of disclaimers, I'm going to give you another one. I am not on some trip about white men, not right now. Sometimes, I can feel this way, but like, I'm not coming at you with like an axe to grind about like the patriarchy or whatever. How I feel about all that stuff is very complicated because the whole thing is very complicated. So I'm not a person who's like, you're never going to hear me use the word patriarchy, the way that you often hear it today. I should probably leave it right there. Okay. So that's true. I don't have an axe to grind about the patriarchy. Maybe if we all meet up at QuiltCon and we're having margaritas, I can just spout off about all of that. Anyway, it's just not, I don't know. Okay. But you remember when I told you that my friend told me, this African-American scholar, quilt scholar at Northwestern University, right? She was like, Mary, you don't have to worry about like talking about African-American quilts or about like, gender issues in quilting. Don't worry about sounding wrong or being problematic. All you have to do is tell the truth. Just tell the truth, right? So the truth is that, these white men, right, talk about quilts in their collections. And, I know many of these guys and I love them. I appreciate them and I respect them. But there's this tone that they use, and it's this It's a tone, and it's also like a belief that the highest respect that could possibly be given to a quilt is to be hung on the walls of a museum. It's just like Gerald Roy said. Yeah. It's just like Gerald Roy said, you know, what would, and it's like this like total incredulity, right? What would these women have thought if they knew that their quilts would be hung on the walls of a museum in Boston? And what's implied is there could be no greater honor on earth than to have your quilt that you just didn't really care about hung on the wall as being equal to, you know, in this case, the modern art, you know, Robert Rauschenberg, right? Jasper Johns, like, yes, darling, you know, congratulations, you made a really great piece of art. And I am annoyed by that because what it presumes is, now I'm on my soapbox, since I'm doing this show from home, you know, I could go get like a box of Dove soap, right? And just, I know that's not what a soapbox is. Anyway, so I believe that like, it just seems quite obvious that their value system, and not just white men, it's everybody, so many people, the highest honor you can possibly have is to be admitted into the, you know, given the keys to the ivory tower and have your quilt be part of the system of art, you know, excellence and art snobbery and these high prices, you know, that are put on art, and that's the best you can get. And I think that quilts complicate things a lot. And because we can't put a price on quilts very easily, this is proof that they complicate the situation. Because, you know, if you make a quilt for your family and it's really beautiful, I think that it's fair to say that the highest praise that you could possibly get for your quilt is for a member of your family. This is one of the best things that could happen to your quilt. A member of your family could say, Mom, or honey, or friend, or sister, whatever, that is the most gorgeous thing I have ever seen in my life. You are a genius. Or the house is burning down, or you are being persecuted, right, politically, by Mother Nature, right? And you have to flee your home, and the thing that somebody grabs from the house is your quilt. I mean, there's other levels, there's other ways to be valued. High praise that goes beyond the like honor of being given space on a gallery wall in a museum. And so, because the art world, and this is a fact, is largely, you know, run by white guys, it irks me, right? When they're like, imagine if these women could have possibly have, you know, if they could see it today. And the idea that these women who made these quilts would just they would faint dead away and be like, you love my work. Well, she loved her work, probably. And the fact that, it's we don't know for sure, but you look at these quilts that have been given this honor of being in the Museum of Fine Arts Boston or being at the Met, the proof is in the quilt. She obviously knew. I'm really on a thing. Hey, Bosox. Oh, I love you. Okay, Bosox, you are very welcome here. And I hope that you heard that I am not like out to like any demographic, including white men. I just think it's really a bad way to go if you're trying to make an argument. Anyway, so like if a woman, and it was usually a woman, then not always, of course, but usually if there's this masterpiece of a quilt, she knew what she was working on. She knew how good it was. She might have had, you know, oh, this isn't perfect or that isn't perfect, whatever, I should have done this. But when it's a really beautiful quilt, when it's really good, and even when it isn't very good, there's pride in that. And so maybe, Mr. Roy, maybe it's not so crazy. Maybe she wouldn't faint if she saw her quilt at the Museum of Fine Arts Boston on a wall hanging next to a gallery with Jasper Johns. Maybe she'd be like, you're goddamn right it is. Pardon my French. And so my, I get irked because there's this tone about how, and I talk about this when I talk about the G's Ben quilts in my myth on in my lecture on myth in the quilt story and stuff, because the same thing happens to the G's Ben quilters. They're just sort of painted as these like uneducated, totally clueless, what I call the idiot genius, right? Where it's like these people come in and they take their quilts and they sell them and they exhibit them and they're like, oh, can you believe they did this? They had no idea that they were so good. And it's like, well, how do you, they did. I mean, they knew they were making things that were beautiful. Anyway, so that's the video I wanted to show. I have more to say about that. I know I got animated, but I really care about that because there's just this way that quilts have been talked about for so long when quilts are really, really amazing. That there's just this total like we are now giving you the permission to feel really good, ladies, about what you did. And I think that a lot of us feel really good about what we do, and our families and communities and people that love us and people that we love feel really good about the quilts that we make. And that is pretty high praise as well. So so Bosock, so you say you can 100% understand the perspective that the collectors are portraying. And I don't 100% not understand it. I do. And what's okay, and what's important too, just counterpoint, right? And sorry, I'm not looking at effort is victory. Yeah, that's good. There's also so yeah, just let me just say this too. And then I'm going to move on to Rosie Lee Tompkins because there's much more to say about what we're talking about. Gerald Roy, there is no question at all that Gerald Roy, my dear friend Jonathan Holstein, they love quilts. Look at them. They have saved quilts, from being tossed onto the garage sale pile and maybe the dustbin, right? Some of the quilts they purchased, some of the whatever. They haven't saved all of them. They are collectors and they whatever. But they love quilts. I mean, my friend Jonathan, he loves quilts more than He's a brilliant collector and he's given so much to the quilt world. I mean, it's immeasurable. So, and it's also true. So that's true. And what's also true is that many women did not get credit for how brilliant they were in construction, in design, right? Their artistic choices, their design choices were not valued. That is also true. And so, many things can be true at the same time. And I'm sure that you agree with that too, right? You can have many things that are true. So it is validating to say that like this quilt you made is amazing. It's so amazing. We're going to hang it up here. But it's that the utmost, that the highest honor you could have is to be put in a gallery in essentially a commercial endeavor that I think negates the value that cannot have a price on it, which is that it was made by you and people who love you love it too. And it might, and that might sound too emotional for some people, but the best things in life are free. So, okay, this is good. I like this. You see, Dee Marie, we've got this point counterpoint going, and it's true. It's the best thing. Okay. So, there is okay. Oh, Myra, let me tell you something. I'm glad there's a replay because I just got all up in my feelings. There's more to say. I mean, this is why we got to have artists on this show and quilt makers who had work sold in galleries, right? There's so much to this conversation. Okay. So now we're going to talk about Rosie Lee Tompkins, who is like the perfect person to talk about because she is a quilter who has made quilts the quilts that we are going to see were shown in in Berkeley. Okay, she had a huge solo show in Berkeley. I believe she has passed away. But I'm just trying to get, what I did is I put the quilts that are, here we go, this is what I'm going to do. The quilts that are mentioned in this exhibition, in this article about the exhibition, I pulled up specifically because remember last time when I went through the Gerald Roy article, I didn't have the actual quilts that were talked about like in different places in the article. I didn't have those in order, and I want to have those in order. So what I'm going to do, but then there's all these other quilts. Okay, I'm going to try my best. Okay, so if we go full screen on this, and then we go, okay, we'll see. Bear with me. All right. No, come down here. Sorry, okay. It's all very complicated. All right, just a second. Nothing to see here. Just, yeah, okay, great. All right. This is an article from the New York Times. It's called The Radical Quilting of Rosie Lee Tompkins. Okay. And it's from 2020, last year. The subtitle, the teaser sort of thing is, and by the way, it'll be a little bit hard for me to see the chat while I'm reading this, but I'll try to keep up. Hey, it's Michelle, right? I think Vision Me is Michelle. Okay. Oh, question for another episode, Judgy. What do you do with your grandmother and great grandmother's quilts? Yep, we got it. Okay, good. Yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, what to do. I'm writing it down. What to do with family quilts. Yeah. Talk about a complicated question. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is by Roberta Smith, and Roberta Smith is I forget her title, but she's at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, I believe, and she's a big deal. She's been around for a very long time. She's a critic. I think she's an art critic. Yeah, for the New York Times. I think that's who she is. Yeah, she's not at the Met. She's an art critic for the New York Times, I believe. She's a name that I know just like from knowing some of the stuff about the art world and the textile sort of art critic world. Okay, isn't that a great, very specific definition or description of a person? Okay, so The Radical Quilting of Rosie Lee Tompkins, and the subtitle is A Triumphal Retrospective at the Berkeley Art Museum in 2020 confirms her standing as one of the great American artists, transcending craft, challenging painting, and reshaping the canon. And this is... okay, well, I'll show you Rosie Lee in just a second. Trying to manage like two different folders for you to see. By Roberta Smith, June of 2020. In 1997, I walked into the Berkeley Art Museum, 1997, to be greeted by a staggering sight. An array of some 20 quilts, unlike I had ever seen. Their unbridled colors, irregular shapes, and nearly reckless range of textiles telegraphed a tremendous energy and the implacable ambition and confidence of great art. I'm going to zoom in to different portions of this so you can really take a look at things while I read. Okay, look at that up there. They were crafted objects that transcended quilting with the power of painting. This made them canon-busting and implicitly subversive. They gave off a tangible heat. I love the way she writes. It's so good. I left in a state of shock. I knew I had been instantly converted, but I didn't yet know to what. In memory, the show became a jubilant fugue of small squares of velvet in deep gemstone hues, dancing with not much apparent order. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to open this. Sorry. Hang on. Okay. I know what to do. Okay, I just want to get you the right stuff at the right time. Okay. In memory, the show became a jubilant fugue of small squares of velvet in deep gemstone hues, dancing with not much apparent order, yet impeccably arranged for full effect. My first thought was of Paul Klee, that kind of love at first sight allure, seductive handmaidness, and unfiltered accessibility, only bigger and stronger. The planets had aligned. I'd happened upon the first solo show anywhere of Rosie Lee Tompkins, an exemplar of one of the country's premier visual traditions, an African-American improvisational quilt making, an especially innovative branch of a medium that reaches back to African textiles and continues to thrive. Tompkins' work, I came to realize, was one of the century's major artistic accomplishments, giving quilt making a radical new articulation and emotional urgency. I felt I had been given a new standard against which to measure contemporary art. Okay, can we just pause and say, holy crap! Like, Roberta Smith, she's not a young woman. I mean, she has been around for a while. New York art scene, New York museums, art critic, New York Times. She knows what she's talking about, right? I mean, just in terms of like what's happened in art in her lifetime, this is big stuff, right? Big praise she's giving. Rosie Lee Tompkins was a pseudonym, I would learn, adopted by a fiercely private, deeply religious woman who, as her work received more and more attention, oh, look at that quilting down there, was almost never photographed or interviewed. She was born Effie Mae Martin in rural Gould, Arkansas, on September 9th, 1936. At the time of the show, she was 61 and living in nearby Richmond, California, just north of Berkeley. Over the years, I would be repeatedly blown away by work that was at once rigorous and inclusive. Thompkins was an inventive colorist whose generous use of black added to the gravity of her efforts. She worked in several styles and in all kinds of fabrics, using velvets, printed P-A-N-N-E. Do you all know what that word is? I don't know what that word is. Interesting. Printed pan crushed to gorgeous effect in ways that rivaled oil paint. But she was also adept with denim. Denim! Hey, denim! Oh yeah, we looked at the denim quilt before. Okay. Faux fur, distressed t-shirts, and fabrics printed with the faces of the Kennedy brothers, Martin Luther King Jr., Magic Johnson. A typical Thompson's quilt had an original, irresistible aliveness. One of her narrative works was 14 feet across, the size of a small billboard. It appropriated whole dish towels, printed with folkloric scenes, parts of a feed sack, and most prominently, bright, bold chunks of the American flag. That's this one, okay? That's why I wanted to pull up these different things, okay, these folders, because I want to show you what they're talking about when they speak specifically. Bright, bold chunks of the American flag. What else? Bits of embroidery, Mexican textiles, fabrics painted with flamenco dancers, and racing cars, hot pink batik, and front and center, a slightly cheesy manufactured tapestry of Jesus Christ. It seemed like a map of the melting pot of American culture and politics. Okay, then she talks about this one. While works like this relate one to pop art, others had the power of abstraction. One of her signature velvets might be described as a failed checkerboard. Its little squares of black and dark green, lime and blue slide continuously in and out of register, creating the illusion of ceaseless motion, like a fractal model of rippling water. This surface action, I discovered, reflected her constant improvisation. View, full screen. Thompkins began by cutting her squares or triangles or bars freehand, never measuring or using a template, and intuitively she changed the colors, shapes, and size of her fabric fragments, making her composition seem to expand or contract. As a result, her quilts could be deliriously akimbo, imbued with a mesmerizing pull of differences and inconsistencies that communicates impassioned attention and care. Quote, "I think it's because I love them so much that God let me see all these different colors," Thompkins once said of her patchwork. Quote, "I hope they spread a lot of love," unquote. That 1997 Berkeley show was my first Rosie Lee Tompkins moment. Organized by Lawrence Rinder, the museum's chief curator, it helped boost her reputation beyond the quilt world centered in and around San Francisco. That is interesting. Sorry, that was my comment. This September, last year, many more people will have similar moments of their own and feel the love implicit in her extraordinary achievement when Rosie Lee Tompkins, a retrospective, the artist's largest show yet, opens its doors once more at the Berkeley Art Museum for a run through December 20. And then in parentheses, it says it debuted briefly in February before the coronavirus lockdown. The museum's website at the time offered a robust online display and a 70-minute virtual tour. I got these from the article, but okay. This exhibition, again organized by Mr. Rinder, the museum's director until March, with Elaine Y. Yao, a postdoctoral curatorial fellow. Pause. Let me just say that, Quilt Folk was approached by Rod Kirikoff to print the second edition of Unconventional and Unexpected, the famous book, and Elaine Yao blurbed the book on the back. Okay. Oh yeah, this is really interesting. Okay. So the exhibition marks the end of a 35-year saga. 35-year saga. Though it began with Effie Mae Martin, it came to include a small, nervous collector named Eli Leon. Oh, this character, who met her in 1985, fell in love with her quilts and those of many other African-American creators in and around Richmond. And he devoted, Eli Leon, we're going to see a picture of him, and he devoted half his life to acquiring and studying, exhibiting, and writing about their work. The saga. Okay, so this is the subsection here. The saga of Effie and Eli and Rosie Lee. Rosie Lee Tompkins grew up the eldest of 15 siblings, picking cotton and piecing quilts for her mother. In 1958, she joined the post-war phase of the Great Migration, relocating to Milwaukee and then Chicago. I didn't know that. This is not a lecture. This is me learning with you what this is all about. She lived in Chicago. Yes. Eventually settling in Richmond, California, a busy port and shipyard that had become a destination for thousands of African Americans who moved out of the South, many bringing with them singular aspects of rural culture. By the way, can I just say, she's sewing with velvet. I'm sorry. I don't know. I've never sewn with velvet. It does not seem like it would be very easy. Rosie Lee Tompkins studied nursing and for the next 2 decades or so worked in convalescent homes, a job she is said to have loved. During this time, she married and divorced Ellis Howard, raised 5 children and stepchildren, and started to make quilts to sell at the area's many flea markets. Wow, look at that one. She had she printed a business card that offered, quote, crazy quilts and pillows of all sizes. By the late 1970s, according to the current exhibition's catalog, she was earning as much as $400 a weekend from sales and was able to quit her nursing job. The flea markets were quilter's paradise in the 1970s and 80s. Let's just go real deep on this. The flea markets, quilter's paradise in the 70s, 80s, and beyond, places where the necessary materials were plentiful and cheap, printed, embroidered, and sequined fabrics, beaded trim, crocheted doilies, needlepoint, buttons, and secondhand clothing, costume jewelry, all of which and more Thompkins incorporated into her art. Wow. Oh my gosh. What? Sorry. There's so many pictures. It's great. The area was also a paradise for quilt collectors, one of whom was Eli Leon. Okay, you gotta look at Eli. This is a huge deal, and this is one of the pictures in the. So there's Rosie, right? We've seen Rosie. This is Eli Leon. Okay. This is where like the knowledge of quilt culture in the United States, right? Like, you're officially in like the club of people who know some stuff about quilts, because if you know about Eli Leon and this like very strange, path, right, to this, yeah, he's like a figure that if you know about like quilt collecting in the United States, like Eli Leon is like, whoa, Eli Leon. So now you know about Eli Leon, or you're about to find out about him. So you're like, you've leveled up, right? Because we're talking about Rosie Lee Tompkins and Eli Leon. Okay. Where was I? I was here. Okay. There's Eli. I have not looked at the chat at all, but I will as soon as I am done with some of this. Okay. Oh, I need a drink of wine. Okay. Sauvignon Blanc. Perfect. You think like, why does Mary like this so much? Well, I probably don't have to tell you, but like, I tell people I'm twitching and I'm like, it's my favorite thing to do in the world. And they're like, okay, we don't get it, but I'm sure you're having fun. I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm looking at quilts. I'm reading great writing. I'm hanging with friends, and I'm having Sauvignon Blanc. Like, okay, sorry. Eli Leon, born in the Bronx in 1935 and trained as a psychologist, had collecting instincts that verged on hoarding. Eli had also worked as a graphic designer. Let's just look at Eli for a second. And sometime in the late 70s, after years of haunting the area's flea markets and yard sales for whatever appealed, he zeroed in on the visual vibrancy of quilts, evolving into a self-taught scholar. He lived frugally in a small bungalow in Oakland that was eventually packed to its rafters with quilts. You can see this here, right? Like, whoa. And I've seen pictures of his house right before he passed away from a friend who was there, and it's nuts, y'all. He lived frugally, except for his dining room and kitchen. The dining room and kitchen were menageries of previous flea market obsessions, artifacts of between the wars popular culture, crafts, milk glass, dolls, cookie tins, but also meat grinders, toasters, and enamel saucepans, mostly in jade greens. Around 1980, Eli turned his gimlet eye to searching out African-American quilts and interviewing their makers. At flea markets, he would approach anyone selling anything to ask if they knew of quilts for sale. One day, he asked a woman selling kitchen utensils, who was Effie Mae Howard. He would later write, she was evasive, but eventually let on that she dabbled in the craft. Thereafter, he bought everything she would sell him, sometimes going into debt to do so. They were the jewels in the crown of a collection of African-American quilts that would eventually number in the thousands. And the caption for this quilt in the article says, more wall hanging or even street mural than quilt. This work from around 1996 of Rosie Lee Tompkins juxtaposes images of black athletes and political leaders with crosses made of silk men's ties to evoke the complexities of succeeding while black in America. Rosie Lee and Eli were an odd pair, both willful, defensive, and fragile. Each had survived a nervous breakdown or two. Rosie Lee's, coming sometime in the late 70s, deepened the spirituality and intensity of her work, making it more than ever a haven from the world. Eli's first came early, after his wife of 5 years left him. They had met at students at Reed College and married, even though they both knew he was gay. Eli believed Rosie Lee was a great artist and at one point made notes about illustrating an essay with her works by Michelangelo, Mondrian, and Picasso. The quilter felt she was an instrument of God and saw her work as an expression of her faith and his designs. If people like my work, she once told Eli, quote, if people like my work, that means the love of Jesus Christ is still shining through what I'm doing. Isn't this so cool, right? Oh my God, I know. It's so good. It's so good. Whew. Sorry, okay. And now we're gonna go over here because we gotta get to these. Okay, you're all being very patient. If it's a lecture, this doesn't happen. Okay. I mean, I didn't know this about these two, right? This pair. I didn't know. It's amazing. In photographs, Rosie Lee looks tall, of regal posture. We saw that picture of her earlier. Eli's devotion to her work made him a supplicant, willing to do anything, bring her fabrics and art books to help her with her work. Wow! He also wanted to promote it, devising Rosie Lee Tompkins as her... Oh, wow. Okay, whoa, sorry. He also wanted to promote it, devising Rosie Lee Tompkins as her art name to preserve her privacy. Some people thought she might not exist, that Eli had made the quilts himself. Are you kidding me? Wow. Oh my God, okay. Oh, if I'm your personal quilt disc jockey, that is amazing. Wait, I'm so happy right now. Okay. His promotional efforts, however, did not involve much selling. Eli was almost congenitally incapable of parting with any of his quilts or anything else that he accumulated. But within a year, he began building a resume of articles, exhibitions, and lectures about the importance of African American quilts, as well as their frequent emphasis on improvisation and their links to African textiles. Pause. That has been widely disputed. I mean, plenty of people, black, white, otherwise, say that this concept that African American quilts, and I use scare quotes just because it's like complicated, the African American quilts having a relationship to African textiles, like textiles from Africa, kente cloth and things, that's just crap, right? That it doesn't make sense that they would have it anyway. But we'll talk about it sometime. African textiles, we'll talk about it. Okay, but he talked about this, that they had links to African textiles, these quilts. In doing so, he contributed to the national awareness of quilts of all kinds by African Americans, which have been increasingly studied and exhibited since around 1980, thanks to the combined influences of the civil rights movement, feminism, and multiculturalism. His 1987 show, so Eli Leon's 1987 show, Who'da Thought It? Improvisation in African American Quilt Making, included a catalog essay by the well-known Africanist Robert Ferris Thompson alongside his own. It opened at the San Francisco Craft and Folk Art Museum in 1987, and over the next decade, it toured, to 25 museums, including the American Craft Museum in New York City in 1989. It was written about in the home section of the New York Times, but significantly not in the art pages. Yeah, interesting. In 1987, interesting. 1987. Wow, that's weird. I mean, by then, okay. Eli made 3 trips to the South, on a Guggenheim grant, in one instance, to meet the relatives of quilters he knew and collected around Oakland. In Arkansas, he visited Rosie Lee's mother, Sadie Lee Dale, and bought one of her quilts, too. Mr. Rinder's Rosie Lee Tompkins conversion took place in a show of black and white quilts by African Americans that Eli organized in 1996 at the Richmond Art Center. The textile of hers that jumped out at Mr. Rinder... Wait a minute, who's Mr. Rinder? Hold on, I have to go back. Who is it? I think she talks about him at the beginning. Is he the one who put this stuff together? Hang on. I have to go back. Sometimes you have to go back. Hang on, I have to find... Do you remember who is Mr. Rinder? Oh, no. Not that. Sorry. I don't want to search in you. You're not going to tell me. Hang on. Who was Mr. Rinder? Sorry. Rinder. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, the Berkeley Show. Okay, Lawrence Rinder is the museum's chief curator at the Berkeley Show. Sorry. I just, you don't want to, like, go on unless you gotta know. Okay. Okay, we're about 2/3 done with the article. Okay. Mr. Rinder's Rosie Lee Tompkins conversion took place in a show of black and white quilts by African Americans that Eli organized in 1996 at the Richmond Art Center. The textile of hers that jumped out at Mr. Rinder is impressive even in photographs. Made from a family of velvets, it resembles op art, only softer, less mechanical, and altogether more appealing. Eager for more information about the artist, Mr. Rinder called up Eli, who responded, quote, "You like that piece? You should see what she does with color." They don't have the black and white thing that she did. Okay, beyond labels. The next subsection. Though I never met Thompkins, Roberta Smith says, her quilts became stuck in my mind, sometimes at the forefront, sometimes in a corner. Oh, there's the black and white. They do have it. There's the black and white. Okay, there's the black and white. Wow. Let's bring it down here. Yeah. I mentioned her work in my writing when I could. Initially, she seemed to belong to the first rank of outsider artists who began reshaping the American art canon around 1980, such geniuses as Martin Ramirez, Bill Traylor, and Joseph Yoakum. I want to know about all those people. I don't. Quilts lead you to the world, everything. Like Rosie Lee, they were artists of color. Others, like Henry Darger and James Castle, were white. I know Henry Darger. She was the only female artist I knew who seemed of their stature, perhaps beyond it, which was doubly exhilarating. But these self-taught or outsider labels were inaccurate for quilters. Interesting. Effie Mae Martin had grown up as her mother's apprentice in a kind of atelier, a small town full of female friends and relatives who quilted, the older ones showing and telling the younger ones how it was done. More and more, I saw her as a great American artist, no qualifier needed. She reminded me of George Orr, the unparalleled turn-of-the-century potter from Biloxi, Mississippi, whose work was rediscovered in the early 1970s. Orr's precariously thin-walled vessels, unlikely shapes, and inspired glazing shared a kind of bravura with Thompkins' work. Both possessed an extraordinary skill, an idiosyncratic abandon that creates a new sense of the possibilities of the hand, visual wit, and beauty in any medium. As with Orr, Thompkins' work triggered a kind of joy on first encounter. You could hear it in the reviews of the 2002 Whitney Biennial, which Mr. Rinder organized during his stint there. He put 3 of her quilts in the show, one of which the Whitney Museum of Art acquired. After a final decade that was nearly a vertical trajectory, hurtling toward art world fame, Rosie Lee Tompkins died suddenly at 70 in December of 2006 in her home. There were obituaries in the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, the Washington Post, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the Boston Globe. Then, in 2013, Eli began to leave me urgent phone messages. Quote, "You have to come out here. I need help," unquote, his thin, reedy voice said. He had received a diagnosis of dementia and was worried about what would become of his collection, which he wanted to keep intact. It was overflowing not only in his house, but also a small, climate-controlled annex he had built behind it. I visited him that fall to be stunned all over again when Eli and Jenny Hirth, his exemplary friend, assistant, fellow quilt lover, and after 2011 his most constant caregiver, unveiled a succession of Thompkins velvets, clipping them to the molding above the double doors between his living and dining rooms. I listened as Eli spoke about Thompkins, her life and work, and also his. In parentheses, she says, Eli was not shy about his considerable brilliance. Wedging myself into the narrow gaps between the shelves of folded quilts and the annex, I got an inkling of how much I hadn't seen. With this visit, I joined a scattered group of individuals who had been seduced by Eli's dedication. But wow, look at that one. Holy cow. Whew. Seduced by Eli's dedication, but mainly by his collection, and were now concerned, this group I belonged to was now concerned for the collection's fate. In addition to Mr. Rinder, She mentioned some other people. No one knew the actual size of his holdings. Eli provided only the vaguest of numbers when asked, but it seemed immense, judging from the 2 and 3 foot high stacks of quilts that had to be navigated to get through his darkened living room. 2 to 3 foot high stacks. I saw Eli once more in 2016 when I went to Berkeley to review the inauguration of the museum's new building. His dementia was much further along, but he smiled as Miss Hirth... Sorry, I shouldn't skip anything. So one of the people who was aware of what was going on included Miss Hirth, his assistant, right, but also Elsa Longhauser, who was the director of the Santa Monica Museum of Art, recently renamed the Institute of Contemporary Art Los Angeles, and that is important. Okay. From what I know, where the collection is now, I think. Okay. The words... So Ms. Hirth introduced me to another dimension of Thompkins' creativity, the words and numbers. Someone just asked about that. I glanced at the chat and you wondered about words and numbers. Words and numbers she awkwardly whip-stitched into her quilts, adding a layer of personal meaning and a spidery script that sometimes resembled graffiti done with a rapidograph. Let's go back to one of those. That one. Let's go to that one. She signed nearly everything with her real name, Effie, or some combination of Effie, May, Martin Howard, and often added her nearly palindromic date of birth, 9636, or the birth dates of her sons, her parents, and other relatives she wanted to honor. Wow. Wow. Sometimes the embroidery reflected her daily Bible reading. I just saw John Luke, right? John Luke, including the Gospels, as did her edition of applique crosses, right there. Occasionally, she stitched the addresses of the place she had lived and Eli's home. Oh my gosh, this is crazy, right? The information suggested talismanic properties, perhaps prayers. She also said they were meant to improve the relationships between the people evoked by the numbers. Wow. In her 3/6 quilts. 3/6 quilts, okay. Inspired by the 6s in the birth dates of 3 family members. Whoa. She acknowledged them by limiting her palette to 3 colors, orange, yellow, and purple. Eli died on March 6, 2018, at 82 in an assisted living home. To raise money for his care, Ms. Hirth oversaw multiple yard sales for the contents of his house, except the quilts. The question of their destiny hung uneasily in the air. And at this point in the article, they show the denim. Actually, let's catch up with this one because this one is just... This is one featured in the article, like with a caption. Not too specific. But I mean, this is like, of all the ones I saw, I don't know. This one is like a favorite. Look at that. I mean, like there's like wool pieces. Look, Effie, right there. It's totally cool. Okay. And at this point in the article, it was, it's the denim quilt that they pictured. We'll go back to that one. Okay, we're almost there. Then several months later came amazing news. Eli had bequeathed his entire quilt collection to the Berkeley Art Museum, a tribute to the early advocacy of Mr. Render. The final count of the Eli Leon bequest, you ready for this? 3,100 quilts by over 400 artists. Thompkins, represented by more than 680 quilts, quilt tops, appliques, clothing, and objects, is undoubtedly the star. Laverne Bracken's a well-known fourth-generation quilter in Texas. We have to look at her sometime. Laverne Bracken's. Runs a close second with around 300 quilts in the collection. I've never heard of her. I mean, we have to look at her. While fraught with obligations regarding care, storage, display, and access that few museums, large or small, would take on, the bequest automatically transforms the Berkeley Museum and its parent institution, the University of California, Berkeley, into an unparalleled center for the study of African American quilts. Bo Sachs, no problem. But thank you. Yeah, it might. I might have thought about it, but I didn't because I'm like reading this epic article. Okay, but thank you. This is a big deal. So the University California, the Berkeley Museum is like the place for the study of African American quilts. Interesting. Interest and support are coming forth. The museum's already received a $500,000 grant from the Luce Foundation for a follow-up survey of Eli's entire gift in 2022, which should be every bit as surprising as this one. So this is a picture of the exhibit. Okay, so then she talks about the exhibit itself, and that's well, okay. So then she says what she read on the plane from the exhibit catalog or whatnot couldn't prepare me for the visual force of the 62 quilts and 5 assemblage-like memory jugs dating from the 70s to 2004. Spread out in the museum's skylighted galleries, the work's beauty is more insistent than ever. Because of Thompkins' improvisation, a close look doesn't reveal refinement or rote technique, skill for skill's sake. It shows small, individual adjustments made and liberties taken, almost granular expressions of imagination, like here, and freedom. In addition, the fabrics, variously elegant, everyday, and ersatz, bring a lot with them, not just color and texture, but also manufacturing techniques and social connotations. Do you think that polyester double knit might look cheap used in a quilt? Think again. Cotton flannel and beaded and sequin silk crepe might not be a winning combination, perhaps? Likewise, think again. Such physical realism is all but impossible to achieve with paint. A measure of Thompkins' ambition is that she preferred to concentrate on the free jazz aspect of her work, piecing the quilt tops. Other women finished the quilts by adding a layer of wadding and the back, standard practice. Most of the pieces in this show were quilted by Irene Bankhead, whose work Eli also collected. Irene Bankhead. The show begins by demonstrating Thompkins' unusual range and versatility, juxtaposing quilts in smoldering velvets with a medley of found denims, an homage to her grandfather and other farmers in her family. A remarkable piece. Okay, we've got that. Okay, she describes that one. I just want to get to... There's Rosie Lee, Effie, otherwise known as... As an artist, Thompkins may have taken improvisation further than other quilters. She all but abandoned pattern for an inspired randomness with an emphasis on serial disruptions that constantly divert or startle the eye, like the badge of a California prison guard sewn to an otherwise conventional crazy quilt. Her big velvet quilts, the exultant heart of the show, are more often disrupted by dramatic shifts in color and scale. In one, several blocks of stark black and white triangles break through an expanse of rich colors like icebergs on a dark sea. Okay, and then this one. Okay, now we can go out of that and finish with these. Okay, just a few more here. It's a long article, but I mean, I've learned so much, right? There are many museum exhibitions on lockdown. This is the last 3 paragraphs here. There are many museum exhibitions on lockdown in the United States right now. They closed in one world and will reopen in a very different one. And the relevance of Rosie Lee Tompkins, a retrospective, has only expanded in hiatus. The sheer joy of her best quilts cannot be overstated. They come at us with the force and sophistication of so-called high art, but are more democratic, without any intimidation factor. Her work is simply further evidence of the towering African-American achievements that permeate the culture of this country. A deeper understanding and knowledge of these, especially where art is concerned. Wow, look at that fabric up there. Must be part of the necessary rectification and healing that America faces. Thompkins seems to have been an artist of singular greatness, But who knows what further revelations, including the upcoming survey of the Eli Leon bequest, cool, field trip indeed, are in store. The field of improvisational quilting by African American women is not small, but beyond the great quilters of Gee's Bend, Alabama, and a few others, their work is not widely known. Rosie Lee Tompkins' version of what Eli Leon called flexible patterning, quote unquote, may have been more extreme than anyone else's, or perhaps not. It would be gratifying to learn that she did not act alone. And that's the last quilt. I timed it perfectly, did I? Yeah, I did. Oh, wow. Wasn't a perfect presentation, but so that, I mean, that's it. We have been on for 3 hours. I think you all probably liked that, right? And I think Bosaks, I think the squareness of the quilts, I think most of them were not perfectly square. I think they have retained the shape that they initially had. Quite sure. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, really cool. I know, just wonderful, right? The layers of quilt information completely, Dee Marie. And so Kate, she answered some of the stuff about. Well, you asked about the lettering, right? If it was hand stitched. I don't know. I mean, I think it's hand. I mean, look at this. Look at that right there. It's getting pixelated if I get in too close, but I think it's by hand, Kate. Because that's not regular. That's an irregular stitch. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. Whew. I mean, wow. Yep, Susan's right. Y'all, this has just been incredible. I'm so good. The thing is, reading this with you all, like the way it goes into my head is so much different than if I like scan something and read it by myself and like maybe the TV is on, you know? Like this was really focused and I really appreciate it. So, I mean, the show is exciting and it's fun and it's also, I'm really grateful for it, you know? For those of you who've been here from the start of the stream, I'm sorry that we had that technical thing at the beginning, but we corrected and just really appreciate you. And I hope you learned something today. We talked about denim quilts. Well, we talked about early English quilts, 1700s. Talked about denim. We talked about Rosie Lee Tompkins. To me, success. Cheers, and I'll see you on Thursday. Who knows what we will do? Okay, bye. And well, one thing. If you would, be great. Tell a friend about the show. Just say, hey, you should come by. It's free. And yeah, I want to share this with more people. Should know about her. It's not like I want to have a Twitch channel that's like, I really do care about this stuff. So like, tell somebody that you think might like it, and yeah, tell them to come by because we have a good time, obviously. Okay, bye everybody. I love you very much. I'll talk to you soon.